Picture this. A girl in a neon pink leotard with a waist-high cut is grinding on a mat, sweat pouring off her in buckets. She's arching her back, spreading her legs, and staring some guy dead in the eyes. He starts thrusting his hips right back at her like they were in a cheap motel instead of a gym. They're both gasping, moaning, faces drenched, their movements as rhythmic and dirty as it gets. The tension is so high, you'd swear they're about to rip that spandex off right in front of the whole class. But here's the wildest part. This wasn't some private collection porn. This was a regular fitness flick shown on primetime TV, and nobody even blinked. In the 80s, the line between the gym and the erotica was completely erased. Today, at the Raw Archive, we're breaking down how aerobics became the legal way to sell sex and why at some point these sweaty workouts turned into a total bloodbath. Let's go. This is the history of aerobic horror. Number 10. Death Spa, 1989. This film is an absolute monument to the era when technology and fitness merged into one sweaty, neon-soaked nightmare. The plot revolves around the state-of-the-art Los Angeles gym called Starbody Health Spa, controlled by a high-tech computer system. The owner, Michael, is struggling to move on after his wife Catherine's suicide, but things in the club start getting bizarre. The workout equipment literally comes to life, turning a routine training session into a series of sophisticated executions. Death Spa is the ultimate example of pure exploitation. Everything here is exaggerated. The colors are too bright, the leotards are too tight, and the deaths are as absurd as they are bloody. Director Michael Fischa isn't shy about showing long sequences of group aerobics where the camera essentially licks bodies in pastel spandex before unleashing the wrath of corrupted software on them. One of the most iconic moments involves a bodybuilder's barbell transforming into a makeshift guillotine, or the steam room scene, where the heat literally turns people into boiled meat. This movie doesn't try to be deep. It functions on primal instincts, sex, and fear. In the 80s, this flick was a staple of late-night TV broadcasts, perfectly hitting the mark for an audience craving dirty cinema, disguised as a mainstream thriller. The script is secondary to the atmosphere. The idea of ghosts controlling lasers and hydraulics is the kind of madness only possible in this decade. The film gained cult status specifically because of its visual language, the contrast between sterile high-tech environments and the sweaty primal violence occurring in the locker rooms. It's the final destination of its time, but with a disco beat and relentless over-objectification. Number 9. Killer Workout, 1987. While Death Spa played with mysticism and computers, Killer Workout, also known as Aerobicide, is a purebred slasher that exploits the fitness craze to the max. The setup is simple. Years ago, a young woman was horribly burned in a tanning bed accident, and now someone is methodically slaughtering the members and staff of an elite fitness club. Director David Pryor knew exactly what the audience was paying for. Half the runtime is dedicated to workout montages where girls in neon leg warmers perform routines to upbeat synth pop. It looks like an extended music video that is abruptly interrupted by a slasher's appearance. The choice of murder weapon is particularly stylish, a massive oversized safety pin used to impale victims right in the middle of training halls and showers. The film is remarkable for how effectively it works despite its low budget. There's no complex psychology here, just the raw exploitation of the female form and a creeping sense of paranoia. Every club member is a suspect, and every workout could be their last. The tanning bed scene that started it all is a specific kind of body horror, preying on the era's fear of beauty procedures gone wrong. Killer Workout is a gold standard representative of the VHS rental era. It makes no claims to artistic merit, but it's honest with its viewers. You wanted sweaty dancing in leotards and gore? You got it. The film is drenched in the spirit of a time when the local gym was considered the sexiest place in town, and therefore the most appropriate place for a bloody massacre. It serves as a grim reminder that in the 80s, the price for a perfect body was sometimes paid in blood. Number 8. Murder Rock, 1984. Directed by the Italian godfather of gore, Lucio Fulci, this film takes the 80s dance craze and drags it through a dark, voyeuristic lens. The story is set at a prestigious New York City dance academy, where students are competing for a spot in a major production. But the pressure of the spotlight is the least of their worries. A mysterious killer is hunting them down, using a long, thin needle to pierce their hearts, leaving no trace of blood on their sweaty skin. This isn't your typical American slasher, it's a giallo through and through. Fulci, known for his visceral style, focuses heavily on the raw physicality of the dancers. The film is packed with prolonged, highly sexualized rehearsal sequences, where bodies in skin-tight leggings and mesh tops are pushed to the limit of exhaustion. The camera lingers on the glistening skin and rhythmic breathing, creating an atmosphere that feels uncomfortably intimate before the violence strikes. The contrast here is striking. You have the upbeat, synthesized pop soundtrack by Keith Emerson, which feels like a celebration of life and movement, suddenly cut short by the cold, calculated silence of a murder. Fulci uses the gym and the locker rooms as arenas of vulnerability. It's a world where the desire to be perfect and seen makes the characters targets. The heart-piercing gimmick is a deliberate metaphor for the cutthroat nature of the industry, literally killing the heart of the performer. It's a stylish, moody, and deeply fetishistic entry that proves the fitness boom was the perfect backdrop for Italian stylistic excess. Number 7. Stripped to Kill, 1987. While many films on this list use aerobics as a subplot, Stripped to Kill merges the world of fitness, professional dancing, and the gritty slasher genre into one provocative package. An undercover detective poses as a dancer at a high-end club to catch a serial killer who is targeting the performers. What follows is a relentless parade of highly choreographed routines that look more like competitive gymnastics than traditional stripping. The film leans heavily into the hard body aesthetic of the late 80s. The workout culture had moved from the gym to the stage, and director Katt captures this with an aggressive focus on muscular definition, sweat-soaked hair, and athletic prowess. It's exploitation at its most honest, marketing the female body as both an ideal of strength and a vulnerable target for the shadowy figure in the wings. The kills are brutal and contrast sharply with the neon, smoky atmosphere of the club. Between the high-energy dance numbers, there's a genuine sense of dread in the dressing rooms and back alleys. This film represents that specific late 80s crossover where the aerobic video style of cinematography, lots of slow motion and backlight, was used to elevate a low-budget thriller into something that felt expensive and dangerous. It's a fascinating, grime-covered archive piece that shows exactly how the media exploited the thin line between a healthy obsession with the body and its violent destruction. Number 6. Linnea Quigley's Horror Workout, 1990. This isn't just a movie, it's a bizarre cultural artifact that perfectly encapsulates the video nasty era crossing over into the fitness craze. Starring the ultimate 80s scream queen, Linnea Quigley, this release was marketed as a genuine workout tape. For the first 20 minutes, it actually functions as one. Linnea, in a series of increasingly high-cut leotards, leads a group of girls through a sweaty, rhythmic routine. The camera work is shamelessly voyeuristic, focusing on every stretch and flex with the kind of intensity usually reserved for adult films. But then, the horror kicks in. While the girls are busy toning their glutes, a group of zombies rises from the nearby woods and invades the gym. What follows is a surreal blend of aerobic instructions and low-budget gore. Linnea continues to give fitness tips while her friends are being dismembered. It's the peak of 80s meta-exploitation, mocking the very audience that bought the tape for the girls in spandex by turning the whole scene into a bloodbath. The production value is pure VHS grindhouse, but the energy is undeniable. It's a film that knows exactly what it is, a way to show skin under the guise of health and then punish that vanity with campy violence. It serves as a perfect bridge between the fitness-obsessed 80s and the self-aware horror of the 90s, proving that even a workout video wasn't safe from the genre's reach. Number 5. Satan's Princess, 1989. Also known as Malediction, this film is a dark, gritty dive into the underbelly of Los Angeles modeling and fitness scene. The story follows a haunted ex-cop who is hired to find the missing girl, leading him to a high-fashion world dominated by a mysterious and seductive woman named Leah. This isn't just about glamour. It's about a literal demonic cult that uses the pursuit of physical perfection as a front for something far more ancient and predatory. The film heavily utilizes the aesthetic of the hard body era. The gyms here aren't bright and neon. They are moody, shadow-drenched temples of leather and iron. There is a heavy emphasis on the flesh. The camera treats the actor's muscles and skin like sculptures, lingering on the sweat and the strain of the workouts. It captures that specific late 80s transition where the sunny aerobics of the early decade turned into something more fetishistic and industrial. The fitness here is a trap. The obsession with looking like a god or goddess is shown as a path to losing one's soul. With its heavy atmosphere, ritualistic overtones, and sharp focus on the physical form, Satan's Princess is a prime example of how the horror genre exploited the narcissism of the fitness boom. It's a slow-burn thriller that uses the perfect body as a vessel for pure evil, making it one of the more unique and visually striking entries in the archive. Number 4. Perfect, 1985. While not a horror film in the traditional sense, Perfect is the definitive fitness exploitation piece that fueled the era's obsession. Starring John Travolta and Jamie Lee Curtis, the movie was intended as a serious drama about a journalist investigating health clubs as the singles bars of the 80s. However, it infamously devolved into a fever dream of flesh and sweat. The film features the most notorious aerobic sequence in cinema history, a 5-minute rhythmic assault where the camera aggressively frames every thrust, flex, and bead of sweat. The dialogue is sparse, replaced by a thumping synth pop beat and the heavy synchronized breathing of the class. The scene is shot with a level of intensity that makes it feel more like a visceral ritual than a workout. It perfectly captures the hard body philosophy, that the gym was the ultimate arena for sexual selection. This film is the source of the sex without sex phenomenon, where the physical exertion on screen serves as a legal stand-in for hardcore erotica. In the context of the 80s archive, Perfect is the ground zero for why the horror genre began targeting gyms. It established the fitness club as a place of extreme vulnerability and vanity, a temple of the body that was begging to be desecrated by a slasher's blade. Without the hyper-sexualized foundation laid by this movie, the aerobic nightmares that followed wouldn't have had nearly as much cultural impact. It is the peak of 80s gloss, masking a deep voyeuristic obsession. Number 3. The Perils of Gwendoline in the Land of the Yik-Yak, 1984. Directed by Jaeckin, the man behind the legendary Emmanuel, this film is a bizarre, high-budget adventure that looks like a comic book brought to life. While it masquerades as an Indiana Jones-style quest, it is essentially a showcase for 80s athletic aesthetics and fetishism. The film follows a young woman's journey into a hidden underground kingdom ruled by an army of elite female warriors who maintain their physique through rigorous, highly stylized combat and training. The fitness in Gwendoline is purely theatrical. The training sequences are choreographed with a focus on form and friction, featuring costumes that are more about visual impact than practical movement. It represents the fantasy wing of the archive, where the 80s obsession with the body was projected onto exotic, impossible worlds. The cinematography is lush and saturated, treating every scene like a high-fashion editorial spread. It fits into the aerobic horror lineage because of its focus on the captive body. The training isn't for health, it's for service to a regime. It taps into the era's subconscious fear that the pursuit of perfect perfection was a form of enslavement. With its surreal sets and relentless focus on the ideal female form in motion, Gwendoline is a feverish, dreamlike entry that proves the 80s couldn't even imagine an adventure story without a heavy dose of sweat and spandex. Number 2. Body Rock, 1984. This film is a pulsating, sweat-drenched time capsule of the mid-80s street-to-gym pipeline. It follows a young breakdancer, played by Lorenzo Lamas, who gets seduced away from his crew by the hollow promises of fame and a wealthy woman who owns a high-end health club. While it's technically a musical drama, it operates with the same voyeuristic energy as the most aggressive exploitation films of the time. The camera is obsessed with the mechanics of the body, muscles tensing under pressure, skin glistening under stage lights, and the constant rhythmic thrusting of the new dance fitness style. The gym sequences in Body Rock aren't just background noise, they're the arenas where power and sex are traded. The choreography is fast, aggressive, and highly suggestive, mirroring the decade's belief that a hard body was the only currency that mattered. It captures that specific moment when breakdancing was sanitized and repackaged as a workout, stripping away the culture and replacing it with pure, marketable flesh. It earned its place in this archive because of its sheer intensity. The dance scenes are shot like combat, with low angles and tight framing that make the viewer feel trapped in the middle of a heaving, breathless crowd. It's a film that markets the dream, while unintentionally highlighting the shallow, almost robotic nature of the fitness-obsessed 80s. It's the perfect setup for the bloodbaths that follow, a world so obsessed with its own reflection that it doesn't see the danger lurking in the shadows of the locker room. To close out the list, we have a film that represents the total collapse of the 80s fitness dream into a surreal, low-budget nightmare. Curse of the Blue Lights is a wild, genre-bending horror flick about a group of teenagers who discover a subterranean world of ghouls and ancient cults. While it might seem like a standard monster movie, it features a bizarre and unforgettable obsession with the era's physical culture. The film includes scenes that feel like a direct parody or perhaps a fever dream of the aerobic videos of the time. In one sequence, the horror isn't just about monsters, it's about the distortion of the human form itself. It takes the perfect bodies we've seen in the previous 9 films and subjects them to occult transformations. The blue lights of the title act like a twisted version of a tanning bed, Promethean energy that mutates the flesh rather than bronzing it. It's the ultimate the end for the 80s aerobic era. It takes the neon lights, the young athletes, and the rhythmic energy and tosses them into a meat grinder of practical effects and cosmic horror. It serves as a grim reminder from the very end of the decade. No matter how much you train, no matter how many hours you spend in the spa, your body is still just a vessel. And in the world of the Raw archive, that vessel is always under threat. It's a messy, ambitious, and deeply weird film that proves that by 1988, the health craze had officially been devoured by the very monsters it tried to outrun. So there you have it. The 1980s didn't just give us the birth of the modern gym, it gave us a decade where the obsession with the perfect body became a literal death trap. From haunted treadmills to aerobic cults, these films captured a culture that was so addicted to its own reflection, it didn't realize it was being slaughtered in the mirror. In the Raw archive, we don't just look at the movies, we look at the scars they left on the culture. The next time you're in a dimly lit gym and the beat starts to feel a little too fast, just remember, in the 80s, no pain, no gain wasn't just a slogan. Sometimes it was a death sentence. Thanks for watching this trip through the neon-soaked bloodbath. If you survived this session, hit the like button, subscribe to the archive, and let me know in the comments, which of these fitness nightmares actually made you want to skip your next workout. Stay safe, stay sharp, and keep the archive alive. This was the Raw Archive. We'll see you in the next reel.